Good afternoon and many thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. I'm David Alabi with the news making the headlines. Now we begin with legal matters as the Nigerian Federal High Court, Abuja, on Monday has adjourned until August 30 the suit challenging the Presidential Executive Order No. 6 of 2018 on the preservation of assets connected with corruption and other related offences. The vacation judge Justice Ijoma Ojukwu fixed a date to allow the plaintiff exhibit the order, which was the matter in contention, as well as ensure that all other processes were regularized. Counsel to the plaintiff, Mr. Obed Agu, told the court that he had not attached the order to the processes he filed earlier because it was in the custody of the defendants. The judge, however, asked him to apply for the said order and make it available to the court. Still talking legal matters, Justice Abdul Abuki has led a three-man panel to suspend the enforcement of the arrest warrant issued against Professor Mahmood Yakubu, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, by Justice Stephen Palm of the Federal High Court. The ruling was delivered on Monday and the arrest has been called off by a division of the Court of Appeal. According to Justice Abuki, since the matter has been adjourned to September 17 for hearing of the main appeal, it will be prejudicial for the trial court to proceed with the hearing of the matter, scheduled for August 14. Quote, consequently, the panel unanimously ordered a stay of proceeding pending the hearing of Professor Mahmood's appeal, he said. The Akwa Ibom State government has dismissed the claim that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, traced the sum of 1.4 billion naira belonging to the state to 11 accounts operated by top lawyers in the country, describing the allegation as a face-saving effort by the anti-graft agency. This reaction was contained in a statement signed by the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Mr. Charles Udo, and sent to journalists in Uyo. Mr. Udo maintained that such allegations was employed to justify EFCC's unlawful freezing of Akwa Ibom State account, adding that the state government had already presented a case before the Federal High Court in Uyo. The federal government has said that soon allowances of members of the National Youth Service Corps will be increased. The NYSC Director General Brigadier General Suleiman Kazari reiterated this while addressing the 2018 Batch B Corps members deployed to Adamawa State. He advised the Corps members to shun all forms of sharp practices and commit themselves to their primary assignments in the state. Now moving on to security matters, policemen on Monday dispersed protesting students of the College of Education in Ilorin, Kwara State with tear gas. The students who alleged that the lecturers were being owed 6 months' pay by the Kwara State government said the situation had denied them the opportunity to commence their semester examination. Police shot tear gas to disperse them. The command's public relations officer, Okansomi Ajayi, told reporters that he was in a meeting. He added that the matter would be addressed. The students who are supposed to start a semester exam on Monday, that is this morning, were unable to do so as their lecturers embarked on a strike over non-payment of their salaries by the Kwara State government. Human rights activist Femi Falana, SAN, has called on the Acting Director General of the Department of State Services, Matthew Schaefer, to immediately release all illegally detained suspects, which he claimed to be over 100. Mr. Falana, in a letter addressed to the new DSS boss on Sunday, has advised Mr. Schaefer to see his appointment as an opportunity to purge the DSS of the rot that characterized the Lawal Dara era. The senior advocate noted that the former National Security Advisor, Colonel Samuel Dasuki, retired, the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zazaki, and his wife Zainab, as well as the journalist Joan Tabiri, were unjustly detained for years by Mr. Daura. Now to some sad development, a huge blaze has razed down dozens of shops, fish stocks and other property worth millions of naira at the popular Baga Fish Market in Maiduguri, Borno State capital. Ambusa Pinda, the public relations officer, Borno State Fire Service, who confirmed the incident, said that 4 firefighting trucks were deployed to the market and that the fire is now under control. The cause of the fire is still unknown, but Mr. Pinda says the service will investigate the cause of the fire. Meanwhile, a trader at the market, Muhammad Labo, told the news agency of Nigeria that the fire started at about 10:30 p.m., suggesting it was caused by electrical fault. The rest of the news continues in just a moment. Just stay with us. Glad to have you back. Now, if you're just joining us, you're watching News on the Hour at midday. Now, according to a statement released by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, 13 people have been confirmed dead due to an outbreak of cholera in the West African nation of Niger. The outbreak is largely concentrated in the southern region of Maradi. Presently, the country has recorded at least 993 cases reported so far, with children within the age of 1 to 15 years mostly affected. Meanwhile, Health Minister Ilyasu Nasara has assured the people that his office is working to control the epidemic, even though experts still fear a rise in the casualties in the coming days. We'll now move on to South Africa, where the Constitutional Court has declared the appointment of Chief State Prosecutor Shaun Abrahams as constitutionally invalid, upholding a decision by a lower court that found he had been improperly appointed by former President Jacob Zuma. Mr. Abrahams was appealing an earlier High Court judgment that ruled that the removal of his predecessor, Ngzolisi Nxatsana, was unlawful and that his own appointment would be revoked. Mr. Abrahams was appointed after the removal of his predecessor, Ngzolisi Nxatsana, who accepted a 17 million rand, that is about $1.1 million settlement package from President Zuma. Zimbabwe President MMC Mnangagwa on Monday called for the country to move on from its disputed election, despite his victory being challenged in court over alleged fraud and his inauguration delayed. The country's first election since the fall of Robert Mugabe was marred by the army opening fire on protesters, allegations of vote rigging, and a crackdown on opposition activists. Mnangagwa, who narrowly won the July 30 vote, took power last year when military generals ousted Mugabe after 37 years in office. Iran dares US vows to launch ballistic missile. Details of this and more when we return. Don't go away. On the foreign scene, Iran has unveiled a next-generation short-range ballistic missile on Monday and vowed to further boost its capabilities. Iranian media said at a time of rising tensions with the United States. State broadcaster IRIB said the new Fateh Mobid missile had successfully passed its test and could strike targets on land and sea. As promised to our dear people, we will not spare any effort to increase the missile capabilities of the country and will certainly increase our missile power every day, Defense Minister Amir Hatamami said, quoted by conservative news agency Tasnim. The new missile range was not given, but previous versions had a range of about 200 to 300 kilometers, according to the US-based Center for Strategic and International Studies. 30 Indian prisoners, including 27 fishermen, were on Monday handed over to Indian authorities by Pakistan. Indian officials confirmed. Pakistan today released 30 Indian prisoners as a goodwill gesture. Islamabad described the move as a humanitarian gesture and expected a similar response from New Delhi. This is a humanitarian gesture to mark Pakistan's Independence Day on August 14. The death toll from an earthquake on the Indonesian island of Lombok has hit 400, with more than 1,300 injured and nearly 353,000 displaced. Authorities said on Monday that bodies were still being recovered from the ruins of destroyed buildings. The shallow 6.9 magnitude quake on August 5 leveled tens of thousands of homes, mosques, and businesses across Lombok, just a few weeks after another tremor surged through the island and killed 17 people. That's according to National Disaster Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho, who added that 3 helicopters had been used to drop supplies to isolated communities. It's now time for business news with Edidiong Iwang.
This is Business News and I'm Edidiong Iwang. The federal government of Nigeria has launched a new initiative under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program called Trader Money. The scheme is expected to provide a minimum of 30,000 loans to 2 million petty traders across states of the Federation between now and the end of the year. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Laolu Akonde, in a statement said the loans are repayable within a period of 6 months, and the goal is to ensure financial inclusion down to grassroots. In order to identify the beneficiaries, no less than 4,000 enumeration agents have been engaged by the Bank of Industry. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has approved the implementation of the rent-to-own pilot housing scheme to begin with 3,000 houses nationwide. Now, a statement signed by Mrs. Zubeida Umar, FMBN Corporate Communications Group Head, the scheme is a strategic move designed to make home ownership more accessible and affordable for Nigerian workers. The FMBN Rent-Own Scheme is an innovative, affordable housing product which provides an easy, convenient payment plan towards home ownership for Nigerian workers. The scheme is designed for workers to move into FMBN homes as tenants, pay for and own the properties through monthly or yearly rent payments spread over up to 30 years. The pension fund administrators paid 4.97 billion naira to 12,772 retirement saving account holders who were disengaged from their jobs in the first quarter of 2018. The beneficiaries were the RSA holders who, under the age of 50 years, disengaged from years and were unable to secure another job within 4 months of disengagement. The money represents 25% of the total balance in the RSA's employment. According to a report of the National Pension Commission, for the first quarter of 2018, the beneficiaries of this form of payment since inception of the contributory pension scheme in 2004 is numbering 263,093, and they have received a total of 87.54 billion naira. Well, that's it on Business News. But still to come is our roundup on entertainment and sports. We'll be back in a moment.
And in entertainment, American Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin is reportedly terminally ill. Her family member revealed in a recent interview says she's asking for your prayers at this time. Aretha turned 76 in March and in that same month cancelled 2 shows in New Jersey. Aretha was the first woman to achieve the honor of being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987, and a documentary featuring Jennifer Hudson as Franklin is slated to start shooting in 2019. Still on entertainment, famous actress Tonto Dike has publicly condemned Nigerian airline Arik Air for an apparent delay in flight she suffered from them. According to her, her flight to Port Harcourt was not only delayed but rescheduled for 7.5 hours later. She aired her displeasure through social media and wrote, "You don't deserve to be in operation. You're very lazy. Your services are weak, horrible, and unprofessional. And above all, you're a destiny killer and time waster. Dear Arik, you are disrespectful." Arik Air is yet to issue an apology or even state their own side of the story. Still on entertainment, as South Africa continues to come to terms with the death of veteran hip-hop star Pro Kid, DJ Sbu has hit back at claims he was one of the industry friends who let the star down. Pro Kid's death was confirmed by his family during the early hours of Thursday morning last week as he suffered a severe seizure. AKA and Zakwe, the rapper's friends, have all slammed the media industry for not doing enough to honor the star while he was alive. According to reports, after DJ Sbu paid tribute to Pro Kid, a social media user went for the music mogul and claimed his treatment of Pro Kid could have been contributed to the depression Pro Kid felt before his death. DJ Sbu put the hater straight with some facts about his working relationship with Pro Kid. Meanwhile, hundreds of people, including several celebrities, poured out onto the streets of Soweto on Sunday to celebrate Pro Kid's life. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko. Super Eagles midfielder Joel Obi has moved from Torino to fellow Italian side Chievo Verona on a 3-year deal for an undisclosed transfer fee. And Joel Obi joined Torino from Inter Milan in July 2015 and went on to score 7 goals and provided 5 assists in 59 matches for the club. He made his debut for the Super Eagles of Nigeria against Sierra Leone in February 2011 and has made 15 appearances for the three-time African champions. And Scottish FA's compliance officer is to review footage of an alleged elbow by Celtic captain Scott Brown on Hearts forward Stephen Naismith. The incident occurred during Hearts' 1-0 win over Celtic, and if Brown is cited, the Celtic midfielder could miss the first Old Firm derby of the season on the 2nd of September. A separate incident in which Naismith allegedly kicks out at Celtic winger Johnny Hayes will also be reviewed by the compliance officer. An Argentine striker, Leonardo Ulloa, has completed his transfer to Mexican side Pachuca from Premier League outfit Leicester City. And the 32-year-old moves to Mexico with a year left on his contract with the former Premier League champions. His transfer was confirmed by the Foxes on Sunday evening. And Leonardo Ulloa joined Leicester City from Brighton and Hove Albion in 2014 and has since scored 20 goals in 101 appearances for the King Power side and has played his part in the club's surprising title triumph during the 2015-2016 Premier League season. And that's it on Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Many thanks, Udoka. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do remember to subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. I'm David Alabi. Enjoy the rest of your day.